The Gotham War. This is the event that brought Batman against all of the Bat family and Catwoman. But why? Batman has pretty much been out of action for about 3 weeks at this point. In that time, Catwoman came up with a better plan for cleaning up Gotham City, and it seems to be working. But that method kind of goes against everything that Batman stands for. So what does that mean? That means that we're going to have a war between the Bat family and Batman, which is only exasperated by the fact that Batman currently has an evil version of himself kind of controlling his body in Zur-En-Arrh. So Batman's acting a little out of character in this storyline. This is Comicstorian. I take comic books, turn them into audio drama so that you know what's going on in the world of comics and what you should be going to your local comic book store and adding to your collection. Today we're going to be looking at Gotham War and the Red Hood crossovers. So I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you at the ending. Roland walks back to his small apartment, his body broken and bruised from the job with Professor Pig. The colorful villain went crazy and began to beat him. Roland sighs as he walks through the door. For her, he can take the pain. His daughter calls him from the kitchen asking if he wants dinner. Nah, honey. Gonna hit the sack. Not wanting her to see his bruises. He heads into the bedroom, collapsing, and then looks up as he hears a meow coming from the window. At that window is a stray cat with a note pinned to its collar. If you risk your life, you deserve the rewards. It gives him an address to go to. Darkness falls. It's been months of fighting endlessly. Batman fought against Failsafe, a robot built to stop Batman, then the Red Mask, the progenitor of the Joker, and he fought against the multiverse and then Insomnia. After all of that, Batman had finally collapsed, his body falling into an exhausted sleep, and he sits there in the darkness. But he isn't alone. Zur-En-Arrh is there, reminding Batman that he is the preparation. Zur-En-Arrh smiles from behind his mental cage, a psychotic Batman ready at any time to take over Batman's body. Rest up, Bruce. Gotham needs you. They need Batman, Zur-En-Arrh says as he steps back into the shadows. Bruce opens his eyes and finds himself inside of the medical room of the Batcave, Oracle immediately beeping in on the comms, shocked that he is finally awake, and explains that he has been unconscious for 8 weeks after the Night Terrors event. We think it had something to do with your possession by Deadman, she explains, and Batman nods, walking out of the cave. Oracle, let's talk later so you can catch me up. He then cuts the comms, and in no time he is once again swinging through the rooftops of Gotham City. He has been away for too long. He needs his city to know that Batman is still there, but it doesn't take him long to find a crime. 2 cat burglars who have thought out everything. They cut the alarm so that they wouldn't get caught, and as one begins to cut through the glass of the diamond display, the other keeps watch. He looks up to see Batman approaching them from the shadows. Run! It's him! He shouts, turning to escape, and Batman recognizes them. Marcus Tolliver, Stan Bevington. A bit out of your depth, I'd say. He says, knowing that both men usually act as hired muscle for the colorful villains of Gotham City. Batman chases both men around the corner, finding a grappling hook and an open window. He pulls himself up, and he looks at the empty street below. He then leaps back down into the museum, finding a nearby vent open and the diamond gone. He's surprised that the 2 goons managed to trick him. Something's changed in Gotham, he whispers to himself. Meanwhile, at Selina Kyle's new training facility, she trains the former goons and thugs of Gotham to become the professional cat burglars who only target the rich and don't resort to violent methods. She has just gotten word that Batman has returned, so she gathers her closest lieutenants and warns them. He's awake, she tells them, and panic moves through the group as Selina folds her arms, running through the new rules. I'm putting external training on hold. Newbies stay in the training compound walls and get word out to the graduates to be extra cautious out there, she says as she turns away from her soldiers, pouring herself a drink. Time to call another meeting, she says as she gulps down the liquid. Elsewhere, Maxie Zeus is shouting at the one goon he has left, ordering him to destroy the electrical power plant, but a voice shouts from the shadows as Robin leaps down to fight. You are in need of some time at Arkham, Robin says, the thug putting up his hands and backing away while Zeus runs. You're better than this, Craig, he says as he pushes past the goon, rushing outside, finding Maxie Zeus is already down, with Batman standing over his body. Robin, looks like he didn't even need me, but Robin doesn't even care, rushing forward and hugging Batman. It's good to see you too, son. The two briefly catch up before Tim asks Batman if he's talked to Oracle. I did, but I disconnected my comms. I need to clear my head. Batman explains and Tim nods. She just alerted all of us. Catwoman wants to talk. Masks off. So, a little time later, the extended members of the Bat family begin to sit inside of the Kitty Cat Club. They all look up as Batman and Robin walk through the door. Father, did you enjoy your nap? Damian asks from his table. Before the group can talk, Catwoman steps out into the lounge stage. She greets them all and quickly explains that since Batman has been asleep, she has begun a new mission. She's taking goons and thugs that formerly worked for Gotham's rogues, and she stopped the endless cycle of violence by giving them new skills. She is training them to become cat burglars. Her trainees now have rules, such as only targeting the rich and never hurting anyone. She explains that violent crimes have gone down 75% since she has begun. This is why your streets are quiet. It's why your villains are floundering, and it's getting big enough that I need you all to do something for me. Leave us alone. Dick shakes his head. This isn't a solution. You just changed the crime. But the group doesn't entirely agree. Duke, Kate, Steph, and Tim all see the differences in the city and point it out. This doesn't sit right with me. I think we need more data. Maybe Selina can show us how she's training them? Tim admits, and Batman steps forward, glaring at Selina. No, I can't believe what I'm hearing. We have a mission. We stop crime. We don't allow some crimes to go because they appear to be more acceptable than others. But Selina becomes angry with him, pointing out that his life is about the mission. That's why they couldn't be married. After all of his years of fighting, it took her to come in and try things a different way for the city to actually improve. Gotham doesn't need Batman, Bruce. It needed me, she snaps. And from the bar, Jason the Red Hood raises his glass. She ain't wrong, Bruce, he calls out, and the rest continue to discuss it. But Batman turns, stalking out of the club. Outside, Tim catches up with them, asking that they at least talk this out instead of him just leaving. Batman shakes his head as the Batmobile pulls up. Everyone in that room is a victim of a crime. And now, you all want to decide who gets to be a victim? There's nothing to debate, he says as he gets into the car, driving away. A short time later, Selina returns to her home, where she finds her security, Dario, sulking on the couch. She walks past him and into the bathroom, where she hears the door creak open behind her. Hey, Selina, Jason says as she turns around. Nice place you got here, but you need a security guard who doesn't mope on the couch, Jason says, and Selina moves quickly, kicking Jason in the chest and knocking him through the door. You followed me? To my home? She growls as she rushes back at him, pressing her attack, but Jason blocks the blow and punches her. Bruce really rattled you back there, didn't he? There's no way that I would have been able to follow you before that meeting, Jason says as he kicks her down, and she spins, kicking him hard in the face, cracking his mask, knocking him to the ground. Get out of my house, Jason! But Jason puts up his hands, telling her that she's gonna need more than her crew to make this work. She's going to need someone whispering in Batman's ear. He tells her that he gets the plan and he wants to be a part of it. She looks at him for a moment before handing him a note, pointing him to her lieutenants. And I don't think I need to say this, but no killing. The last thing we need is an even angrier Batman. Elsewhere in the city, Roland slips inside of a high-rise apartment. He's been training with Selina's crew, learning the ropes, and he's gotten good at it. He cased the place, made sure the family was out of town, and cut the silent alarm. He slips inside, working the safe, getting it open in a matter of moments. And then he pulls out the jewels, staring down at them in surprise. He knows they'll allow him and his daughter to live well for months. But there's a sound behind him. He turns to find a young woman aiming a pistol. Don't move, she shouts with fear in her voice, her hands shaking. It's later that the police lights bathe the street in red and blue. Batman stands amongst them. He walks over to the body, looking down at it, a frown crossing his face as he recognizes Roland as one of the thugs of the city. You know him? Guy broke into a condo on the 20th floor, owned by Hannah Zhang of the Zhang Chemicals. Her family's on vacation in Central City, but she couldn't join them because of work. The lead detective explains, but Batman has stopped listening. He knows Roland. He knows the cycle of violence the thug was a part of to make ends meet, to care for the daughter that is now an orphan. He grits his teeth with anger. In his mind, he can hear the voice of Zur-En-Arc. The mission has been tainted. We stop crime because we're Batman. The doorman opens the front door of the high-end apartment building, thanking the electrician for coming so quickly. That they've gotten a lot of complaints about air conditioning. Any idea how long? The doorman asks as he leads the two electricians to the power box, and they shut everything off. 1 hour, 2 tops, they explain, telling them that they'll work as quickly as possible, and they both step into the elevator, allowing it to close. Hoops pulls out the keyring that she made from the doorman, and Carlos explains that he shut down the alarms on the top 3 floors, just like Selina taught them. But when they slip into the apartment that they're targeting, they're surprised as Batman steps out of the shadows. Roland Garner, dead in the streets, my streets. Nobody dies today. He launches forward, slamming Carlos into a door before whirling on Hoops. It doesn't mean you won't feel pain. Later that night, Fright looks up from her own job, firing off a blast of fear gas, but Batman swoops in, coming through it like it has no effect. At her hideout, Selina sits at her desk while Marquise explains all of this to her. After that, he hit the Iceberg Lounge. He picked up Scorpina and Vox. Marquise looks at her boss, asking what they're going to do about Batman. We distract him, Marquise, with his biggest mistake. Call Jason. Elsewhere in the city, rain is plummeting from the sky as Batman nabs another thug turned cat burglar, slamming him into the ground and tying him up. Going pretty hard, don't you think? Tim calls out, and Batman looks up at Robin. By my count, that's 8 of Catwoman's people that you've rounded up. You just got through Failsafe, Red Mask, Insomnia. Maybe you should take it easy, Tim says as he leaps down to his mentor. But Batman shakes his head. Someone in Gotham needs to do their job. Are you here to stop me? Tim tries to point out that everything isn't black and white, but Batman stalks past him. Death is. You're alive and then you're not. Roland Garner is dead. His child is an orphan. We do our best to save everyone. I radioed the police to come and pick this criminal up. If I find out that you helped him get away, I'll arrest you myself. Batman says as he leaps off the building, gliding into the night. Throughout the city, the Bat family are on comms, discussing Batman's rampage. Some of them side with Selina, believing that her methods are making the city safer. If Selina asks for help, I'd be inclined to give it, Barbara says, and Jason nods, chiming in that Selina is doing the right thing. With every thief that he stops, he's just driving them back to their old ways. He's driving them to be henchmen, to violence. So we have to stomp him, or at the very least, stay one step ahead of him, Jason says to the group, and then Dick gets on the line, asking that Jason just lay low. Don't worry about me, Dick. I won't do anything rash, he says, looking up at Marquise, who's standing next to him. That night, Jason checks his watch. He set up several traps in the high-end house on the edge of Gotham, preparing for Batman's arrival after setting off the silent alarm. In the city, Selina looks down at the prisoner transfer that's about to leave GCPD. Remember, we just need you to keep him occupied, Selina reminds Red Hood. Jason readies himself as he sees a shadow swoop past the window. He's here, Jason tells the comms, meaning that Selina is prepared to start her escape. Jason watches as Batman swoops towards the window, smashing through it. The traps all go off, targeting the drone and shooting it out of the air. It crashes to the ground and Jason walks towards it. Freaking drone! Marquise is also on the comms, asking for a report from their hideout. But the wall suddenly explodes inward, throwing the trainees to the ground, and Batman stalks in, his cape billowing in the smoke. This is done, but I'm giving you a choice. Go home now, start a new life, otherwise. He then drops into a combat stance, motioning the criminals forward. Most of them choose to rush Batman, who swings, kicking his way through the group, noting that they're all better now that they've been trained by Selina. But you're not the best, he thinks as he whirls, punching another across the face, blood flying through the air, but someone else rushes through the smoke. Look at you, stopping the betterment of others. Sorry I'm late, Jason jokes as he leaps into the fight, armed with a knife and a crowbar. Batman whirls around, blocking the knife easily. Sometimes taking someone in and training them just leads to better criminals and murderers, Batman notes as he shifts, blocking another incoming attack. I'm so sick of you being the grand arbiter of what's right and wrong. You never gave grief up after your parents were killed, so you have the outlook of a 10-year-old! Jason snaps right before Batman shifts, punching him in the throat before slamming him into the wall. If you think one death is fine because it stops more deaths, then why shouldn't I kill you? Batman growls, but Tim is suddenly there, grabbing Batman from behind. Batman twists, knocking him away, turning on his former partner only to see the rest of the Bat family arriving. Batman, you need to step back, Dick Grayson tells him, his escrima stick's already in hand, and Batman prepares himself. No, he growls. Cassandra is the first to move, rushing forward, throwing batarangs, but Batman avoids them, kicking her hard in the stomach. Duke is next to go down. Batman knows that Duke's powers would be a problem. He whirls around on Stephanie, her eyes unprotected, and a few flashbangs blind her. Nightwing then rushes forward, but Batman uses his new hand to send out a smoke screen. But Dick is good. He rolls through it, cracking Batman across the face with his weapons. Jason is next, kicking Batman in the stomach, launching him through a window. Batman plummets to the pavement below, slamming into a car, and Jason follows him. But he's then punched out of the air by Damian. "It's going to be okay, father," he says as he pulls his father into the Batmobile. Elsewhere, the prison escape was successful, but as Selina and her lieutenants are escaping, Marquise calls and tells her about Batman's assault. "He hit Alleytown, destroyed our home. Everyone's scattered. What should we do?" Marquise asks, and Selina looks at her phone in anger before throwing it to the ground, screaming in rage. Back at the brownstone, Bruce is tending to his wounds with Damian nearby. Damian's more interested in Batman's new hand than anything else, but the pair are interrupted by the sound of the doorbell. Bruce answers it, playing the hungover bachelor routine, but he's surprised to find someone from the bank, who hands him a letter explaining that the brownstone is being seized as Bruce's finances are out of whack. Someone just purchased Wayne Manor. Later, the Batmobile roars into the Batcave. You can hear Zur-Anar's voice in his mind, ordering him to seal the cave away from the manor, that they can still do good work, that they need to push Bruce Wayne aside and become only Batman. As he stalks through the darkness of the cave, Batman realizes that the clock is open as someone is already down there. Suddenly, a voice speaks to him from the shadows. "Pardon me. I don't mean to be rude, but you're in my home," the voice calls out. Batman whirls around to find a richly dressed man leaning against the wall. "The name's Vandal Savage, and I presume you're Bruce Wayne." Batman was slowly losing his hold on Gotham, including the very home that he lived in for most of his life. There's no denying that the city has been far safer in his absence, with Selina digging her heels in. Batman swore that he would take back control, that there would be no further death. But as Batman makes this promise at his mother and father's grave, Selina is watching. Marquise asks Selina how he looks. Selina tells her not good. Vandal Savage is in the city, and he has his sights on Batman. Marquise asks, what now then? Should we have mercy on him and invite him to the 78th floor? But Selina says no. Batman is coming apart. It's happened before. He wants a Gotham that is good instead of a Gotham that is healthy. However, they have other things to focus on right now. But Batman, he doesn't know what he's going to do. He lost Wayne Manor to Vandal Savage. He lost most of his fortune, and he has no idea why Vandal Savage is even in Gotham City. But he'll find the answers. Inside of her safe house, Selina cracks her whip, calling attention to all of the thieves, telling them that from here on out, they have to be careful. A lot of them are getting snatched up off of the streets because some of them are being too bold. Because of it, they've lost their training camp. Batman won't kill them, that's true. But he won't hesitate to stomp them, to break their bones. And hospital bills are a lousy way to spend their score money. Batman thinks that they're at war, but they aren't an army. They're a thieves guild, and they're responsible for each other. At that moment, another set of boots walks onto the stage. Heavy boots. Selina turns to Jason, telling him that he has perfect timing. He'll be guiding a team outside of a gala for the arts. You wouldn't happen to be a fan of the arts, would you, Jason? Jason laughs. Actually, yeah. She tells him that it's a shame that he'll be outside running valet then. He asks, cars? Those are going to be some pretty big scores. She goes on to explain that the people here need to learn the art of Grand Theft Auto. You're good at that. I hear that one time, you even tried to steal the wheels off the Batmobile. She cracks her whip once more, telling everyone that some of them will be inside keeping an eye on things, and that she too will be inside, but she'll be in disguise. If they happen to see her, pretend they didn't. And lastly, this is for their future. Make sure to not forget and smile. You never know who's watching. It's later that night inside of the theater that some of Gotham's wealthiest guests arrive, and they take their seat at the Turandot Ballet, while Jason directs several of the outside thieves on preparing cars. But something is off. Jason tells the thieves to go ahead and get the first set of cars ready. He'll catch up with them in just a moment. As he reaches down for something, he casually says that he appreciates him waiting, while he sent the students away before they did this. He begins to pull down his mask to deflect a batarang. You know, it really sucks when your students don't respect you, right? Batman jumps down swinging. You're more of a criminal. You have the potential to be good, to be a smart man, Jason. And Jason scoffs. You still trying to save me from the streets, Bats? Over the comms, the thieves announce that the show is starting, and Jason jumps down into the alleyway telling them, go on without me. Batman watches, thinking to himself that Jason is playing distraction from the scene of the crime. But he's a good one, because it's working. I won't lose him. After a quick change into the Red Hood outfit, Jason races down the streets on his bike, telling his team that Group 1 just hit the docks and they're on their way back to pick up the next round. Good job, team. I had to step away to handle something, but I'll be back shortly. One of the men asks him if it's the Bat. Yeah, don't worry. He can't catch me short of sticking that grappling gun right on my back and yanking me off the bike, which might kill me, so I don't think. But at that moment, his sentence is cut short as he's hit on the back and he's ripped off his bike. He goes tumbling onto the street, getting scraped up from the pavement, jumping back to his feet. What was that? You could have killed me! Batman walks up. I won't let you die, ever again. But I also won't watch you destroy yourself. You don't have to fight alongside me. But please, do not fight me against this. Jason pulls up his hood. You want to get personal about this? I have a lot more in common with Catwoman than you. I'm with her because I believe in her, not in spite of you. Violent crime is way down. You've lost it! Chasing down your own interests at the moment instead of stopping crime? Batman blocks a hit with a crowbar. You are not an interest. You're my family. We both know a life of crime's going to kill you. Jason swings around. Come on! I'm just a distraction! Wait, where did you go? As Jason lands, he doesn't realize the subtle shift in Batman's steps, and suddenly he's grabbed from behind. He struggles to break free, but Batman tells him, I'm sorry for this, Jason. I can't take the risk. You've always been a good soldier. He sticks him with a needle and then lets him go. Jason falling to the ground. Batman tells him to rest. We're gonna talk more about this later. Back at the play, Selina steps out to get some fresh air. She speaks out into the open. I know you're there. You can come out now. I would assume that you're here to spy on me for someone. But it's Nightwing that climbs down. Would you believe I just wanted to find somewhere neutral to talk? How did you know I'd be here, Nightwing? It's your favorite ballet. I got to see it with you and Bruce, remember? It was one of the first times that I was allowed to tag along. You let me sit with you at the bar. I got a Shirley Temple. I felt super grown up. You told me that it was your favorite, and then you asked me what mine was, like I'd have one at that age. I think I said something embarrassing, like the Nutcracker, or something along those lines. Selina turns to him. When you talk like that, it makes me feel stupid that we're all fighting, Nightwing. And Nightwing climbs down. Yeah? Maybe chew on that for a bit and get back to me. She sighs as she heads back inside, thinking that Dick doesn't know what it's like growing up poor. She can't be someone's rich wife, while the girls out there can't even feed their babies. It doesn't matter what they call her. They don't take anything that anyone needs. But at that moment, a large man walks out. May I cut in? And as he grabs Selina, the man tells her, You are quite exquisite. Were you his wife, I'd have claimed you with the house. As Selina is taken, she asks if she knows him, and Vandal Savage grips tighter around her back, telling her not to play games with him. She is hereby warned. Stay out of my way. She asks what does he want with Wayne Manor, and he tells her that it's the finest cave in the finest city. She scoffs. We both know that's not true about this city. Vandal then tells her that this city has treasures to offer unlike any other. After all, isn't that why you're here? If you want the Bat brought to his knees, I might have a position to interest you. I'm in need of a powerful lieutenant. She walks away asking if Vandal thinks that he can actually hurt the Bat. I'm just disagreeing with him. I have more friends. You might want to consider it. You might find yourself short on good help very soon. With things starting to slip, Selina changes and begins to radio to Jason, but realizes she can't get a hold of him. She takes off, declaring that she needs to find him. If something were to happen to Jason, Bruce would never forgive her. Elsewhere, Marquise begins to put in contacts, stating that she's not happy about helping him. He attacked her, he betrayed her, he almost killed her, her woman, and her new team, but he is her father. On the monitor, Vandal laughs. I hate to see you cover those lovely brown eyes, Scandal. So much like your mother. You've been embedded with Miss Kyle for so long. Certainly you can wait a bit longer. Marquise turns. I'm almost there. And refer to me as Marquise. Don't ever call me here again. 2 weeks ago, the thug crashes through the window, slamming into the ground below. He looks up as Red Hood leaps down, standing over him. Where's the Joker? He growls, reaching down, grabbing the thug by his collar, demanding to know where the Joker's hideout is. I told you, man. I don't know, I swear. I haven't worked with him in a couple of years. The thug gasps, and Red Hood lifts him off the ground, tossing him into traffic. Then you're useless to me. But a whip lashes out, wrapping around the goons, pulling him out of traffic and to safety. And Catwoman smiles down at him, ordering him to run off. She leaps down, blocking the Red Hood's path. I wasn't done with him. Jason growls at her, and she points out that the thug seemed a little clumsy to be one of her new thieves. And Catwoman admits that she hasn't recruited him. I'm having a meeting that I think you might be interested in, she tells him, but Jason shakes his head and turns to leave. I think you've got me confused with Nightwing. Jason growls, getting on his bike, but Selina follows him, explaining that her plan will weaken the rogues of Gotham City. And if my plan works, that scary old clown won't have anyone to stand by his side by the time you find him, she points out. Jason finally sighs, telling her that he'll think about it before riding off into the night. We now go to the present day. Jason is standing in Selina's criminal headquarters. He paces in front of 3 of the other recruits. He explains that he'll be breaking them down so that he can build them back up, better than before. But he points out that he thinks that they're going to fail and head back out to the streets to hurt people. And I'm here to get to know all of you real well, so that when I'm right and you do screw up, I can find you and kill you, Jason tells them. One of the guys can't take Jason's speech and begins to run away in fear, but the other 2 stay. So Jason leans in, close to their faces. And then there were 2. He says to Bash and Simpson. Welcome to the program, gentlemen. Let's get to work. What follows is weeks of training, with Jason beating them in the ring, bringing them up to the heights of Gotham's tallest buildings to teach them to move without fear, and he teaches them to hide in the shadows and avoid confrontation altogether. Later, after the pair have gotten much, much better, Jason brings them out to Flunkies, a former goon bar turned into another dive bar since all of the goons have started flocking to Catwoman. You guys look nervous. Never been to a dive bar before? Jason asks as he sips his beer, but Simpson points out that this is where Gotham's rogues used to come to hire their goons. They don't want to run into any of Scarecrow's henchmen since they fled his employ. Oh yeah, you all worked for Scarecrow. Yeah, don't worry about Crane, he's not scary, Jason says nonchalantly. He finally leans back and brings up why he brought them out. We trust each other now, right? We're all on the same team? And he leans forward just a little. The cheer leaves his face as he glares at the 2 of them, demanding to know where the Joker is. I have no idea, the pair says, but Jason doesn't believe them. They explain that they haven't worked with him in years, that they wouldn't know where he would be hiding out right now. A lot of bad people in the world, man. Why do you care about the Joker anyway? Bash finally asks, and Jason takes another sip of his drink. He killed me. I'm going to return the favor, Jason tells them. And he puts the beer down and looks at them with a slight smile. Are you ready for your next test? He asks, standing up, collecting what few weapons the pair have, telling them that they have to get out of the situation without killing anyone. He then turns around to the biker gang that surrounds the pool tables. Hey, you guys are the Brotherhood of Broken Bones, right? Those guys in the table behind me said their club was gonna kick your asses later. Thought you should know. The bikers rush the pair and begin to beat them down. Remember the rules, boys! Jason calls to his trainees as he walks out the door. Outside, he meets a Selena, who isn't happy about how he's training Bash and Simpson. I'm done with your little games, Jason. If you haven't gotten them killed here, they're going on a mission. She hisses in his ear as he finishes that beer. Behind him, the window shatters outward as Bash and Simpson are thrown into the street. Jason looks down at the battered bodies. Hey, not dead. Good job. Now go home and get some rest. Big day tomorrow, Jason tells them. That night, Bash lays in his bed, trying to recover, but he stirs in his sleep as a glowing green fog begins to drift through his apartment. Scarecrow steps out of the shadows and up to the bed of his former henchman. It's the next day that Bash is sitting at a table, his eyes wide as he stares at nothing. You know the rules. Only take what you planned on. No weapons, no improvisation. Nobody gets hurt, Jason says as he leans down to Bash's shoulder. Hey, are you listening to me? He growls, and Simpson steps forward explaining that Bash merely had a bad dream last night and can't sleep well. So that night, the pair are breaking into the art museum. But while Simpson is happy that everything's going well, Bash is jumping at every shadow and noise, and he spins his flashlight around the room. Something's wrong. I can feel it, man. Simpson tries to calm his friend, but Bash suddenly makes a run for it, dashing to the door, pushing through it, tripping the silent alarm. Bash, you set off the damn alarm, man! We gotta go before... Simpson snaps as he catches up with Bash, but the pair are then stopped by a security guard with his pistol raised. Don't move! The guard shouts, and Bash's hand drifts to the pistol that he brought with him. The guard's finger twitches, but Red Hood is suddenly behind him. Lower your weapon, officer. The guard whirls on him, but Jason remains calm, explaining that if the guard puts down his weapon and leaves, no one has to know what happened. Sweat begins to bead and drip down the guard's head, and he finally lowers the pistol. You promise no one's gonna find out about this? Jason nods and promises, but Bash is suddenly there, beating the cop across the back of his head and dropping him to the ground. What the hell did you just do? Jason snaps. Bash leans over the guard's body, ready to fire on him. He was gonna kill us, man! The Scarecrow sent him! Bash shouts, but Jason slams into the man, slamming him to the ground, pummeling him with his fists until Simpson pulls him off. Breathing heavily, Jason orders Simpson to put everything back and drag Bash's body out of the museum. What? Simpson asks in surprise as Jason moves towards the exit. If I wasn't here, you'd both be caught or dead. You failed. Put back the stuff that you stole. Catwoman will deal with you both tomorrow. It's the next night that Jason is confronted by Selena, who demands to know what he was thinking. You were only here for your own agenda, you lying brat. You used me and my people to get information on your little obsession with the Joker. But Jason points out that all she is doing is training these henchmen to be better. That one day they'll return to their old ways, but now better trained on how to hurt people. When your plan falls apart, someone damn well better know who they are and how to stop them. Well, your self-fulfilling prophecy came true, Jason. You already chased one of them off. She explains that they haven't been able to reach Bash. Jason finally pulls himself free and heads out into the night. It doesn't take him long to arrive at Bash's apartment. As he slips through the window, the lights come on to reveal Stephanie Brown standing there. Steph, what are you doing here? Jason asks her. She motions to the wall. Jason's eyes widen as he sees the bloodied body of Bash pinned to it. Get your own toys, Red Hood is smeared in blood over him. There are traces of fear toxin still present in the air. It was Scarecrow. This is bad, Steph tells him, but Jason shakes his head and sighs. I'm afraid it's about to get much worse. Vandal Savage has lived hundreds of lifetimes. He is immortal, but that wasn't always the case. In the beginning, Vandal witnessed the sky light up as meteors fell from the sky, and they were magic. As he got closer to them, he could feel his body growing stronger, his mind expanding, growing sharper. He was smarter. Smart enough to know that something so precious needed to be protected at all costs. The fragments landed across the world, and a few others who encountered them became immortal like himself. He never cared about their origins, only the power in all forms. Ra's al Ghul had his own method of immortality. With every soak in the Lazarus pit, the effects started to fade. Vandal too felt the fading effects of his prolonged life, but that was before he lacked the stones that made the meteors. And right now the largest piece of it is sitting inside of Gotham City. But during Vandal's search, there was another family in the midst of a fight. Batman versus the entire Bat family. In their battle, Batman had barely bested Jason Todd, and he won by injecting him with something. As Jason woke up in Batman's hideout, he felt something he wasn't accustomed to. Fear. Jason's body trembles. He asks Batman what he did. Batman tells him, "Relax, take deep breaths." "Did you inject me with fear gas?" "No. Years ago, I created a personality backup, Zur-En-Arrh, to take over if I ever failed. And I'm using techniques I learned from an old mentor. This machine won't change your personality, but I can add something to it. A small thing. Your failsafe. Now when you have heightened adrenaline, when you're about to do something dangerous, this fear is going to kick in. I'm sorry, but this was the only way. I love you, but you're a murderer. You're a bull in a china shop. This will heal you." Jason stumbles back. "Heal me? This isn't you. You're a controlling piece of crap, but you're not like this." Batman turns, kneeling down, taking off his mask. "I've given you a new identity. A place in Metropolis. You can live a normal life now. This isn't a punishment, Jason. This is a gift. I'm saving you from yourself." "If that's so, then who's saving you from yourself?" But in his silence, an alarm goes off. Batman simply turns back towards the monitors. At another location, Nightwing is climbing into an apartment, telling somebody that he has reached the location. Barbara asks if they're really doing this. Did Batman really kidnap Jason? Nightwing responds to her, "I'm not sure. I've never seen Bruce like this before. He's always been driven, a control freak, but it feels like he's at a point where he feels we are all a mistake. Like his one-man war on crime should have stayed a one-man war." Barbara quietly says, "Bruce said he had Zur-En-Arrh in check, but..." Nightwing touches a picture on the wall. He doesn't. But whether it's Bruce or Zur-En-Arrh, we need to stop him before things get worse. Batman may have created failsafe in case he went too far, but it also made him who he is. And he gave me access to this. As a small beep can be heard, a wall shifts, revealing a large server, and Nightwing goes on explaining that this is where his parents first lived together. This is where Thomas Wayne was able to go to medical school. Bruce bought it and made it his secret heart. Just then a voice yells out, "A heart that you betrayed! Letting criminals run the city? And now, what? You're gonna shut down the one man besides you that could stop them?" Nightwing turns back to see Damian in the window. "Damian, Bruce isn't himself. He trusted me to know when to do this. He gave me the keys to stop him." Damian launches himself into the apartment, swinging right away. Nightwing blocks him. "We have to do this together. He kidnapped Jason. And what if he did? Todd made his decision, sided with the criminals, just like you, Dick." Nightwing feels a sharp sting in his cheek as he's being sliced, and at that moment, Tim tackles Damian to the ground. Tim grabs a hold of Damian, hooking back outside, pulling Damian with him to give Nightwing the time that he needs to disconnect Batman from all of his tools. First check is a retinal scan. Second is a voice phrase. "I vow to help, to make the world a better place, and I swear that I will fight against crime and corruption and never swerve from..." But before he could finish, another voice ends the phrase. "The path of righteousness." Batman walks forward. "I'd remember the words, but I'd forgotten the meaning. Allowing criminals to do what they like isn't righteousness. And abusing your access to the Bat Box won't stop me from fulfilling my oath to make the world a better place. I planned for everything, but I never expected this." Nightwing turns to him. "Is kidnapping a part of your plan to make this a better place? Where does that fall in your damned oath?" "Jason needed help. I'm giving it to him." "Ha, yeah, I'm sure Jason was a willing participant." Nightwing gets into his fighting stance, and the Batbox begins to play a message from the Riddler. "Oh, Batman, there's a new player in your game. Ahem. His canvas was once stone, and he defies the dirt. Who is he?" "Really? You're working with the Riddler?" Nightwing cries out as he lunges at Batman. Batman catches him. "Edward is feeding me information. I'm tracking him down while he does it." This isn't you! This is Zur-En-Arrh! But Batman snaps one of the sticks with his robotic hand. This is me! This is the Oath! With a powerful backhand, Batman knocks Nightwing to the ground, but as he starts to walk away, he tells him, "You're all losing sight of that. You're killing the city with compromises and excuses." Nightwing rolls over and fires his grappling gun into the back of Batman's head. Not everything is so black and white. Meanwhile, outside, Tim and Damian continue to battle, with Damian declaring, "You're all useless! You know you can't win this fight." "Yeah, I know, so I'm making it a fair one," Tim tells him. He points his staff at Damian, and seconds later, an electrical bolt jumps out, shocking Damian, giving Tim the time he needs to cuff Damian to a parking meter. But as Tim explains that he's trying to save him, there's a loud crash, and Batman's body is flung out of the apartment down into the street. Nightwing jumps down, charging. "I'm not gonna let you do this! I'm not gonna let you destroy the peace that Selina has made!" Batman reaches back, ripping the door off a car, hitting Nightwing with it. "This is not peace! It's an illusion while your lines fall away!" But before he can finish, Batman feels himself being wrapped up and then kicked by Tim. Batman looks at him. "Stopping me is going to kill people. You know this, Tim!" "What I know is that you're lost, Batman. That's why I became Robin in the first place. Because you were slipping into darkness. Why can't you see that?" Even bound, Batman jumps to his feet, attacking with his legs. "All I see are criminals!" As Tim is pushed away, he yells, "We can talk about this!" And Batman frees himself from the bindings. "We can talk when you've all come to your senses." He punches so hard that he breaks through Tim's staff, knocking him down. Just seconds later, Nightwing jumps in, using both fists to punch him. "You're a monster! You kidnapped Jason, infected his mind! He was your son!" Batman looks at him. "I am saving him!" And he calls out for his car. But Nightwing continues to punch him. "The Batmobile isn't coming. I've disconnected you from everything." But before another swing could be made, Tim grabs him. "This isn't the answer, Dick! Batman needs our help!" As the two of them begin to argue which method is the correct way to deal with Batman, Batman snares them in a net. "You have no idea how much I protect you, how much I give to allow you to do what you do. You think I give a damn if the world knows my identity? I keep it so you can have a life. Now with the police arriving, you're going to see the repercussions of what you've been doing." As the sirens begin to get louder, Batman fires his grappling gun into a nearby roof, and he looks down at the two of them struggling. He realizes that this is the end if they get arrested. But in the back of Batman's mind, Zur-En-Arrh tells him, "They've all done good. They've saved the city. They won't go to jail. They'll just be forced to live normal lives after they're identified. You'll be free. You'll just be Batman." Batman continues to watch, but seeing the two have no escape, he throws a batarang beside them and leaves. Damian begins to shout out, "Come back, Father!" But soon, when his cries go unheard, he realizes that he too has been left behind. Tim hugs him. "There's something wrong. We're gonna help Dad." Meanwhile, back at the first hideout, Jason rocks back and forth, telling himself to get up when there's a sudden explosion. He screams as Marquise walks in. He asks how she found him, and Marquise tells him that there's always tracking methods that a man of science like Batman would never notice. She holds out a small rock, and Jason asks, "What is it?" She says it's a small fragment of a tremendous opportunity, something her father is seeking out. She's here to free Jason, to offer him something. Immortality, a life with the length needed to get it right. Her name, her real name, is Scandal Savage. Her father is Vandal Savage, and Vandal can unlock powers for them. She has watched him. He's better than the rest. He understands life. He understands death. And what she needs from him is to help her. Jason looks up, shaking in fear. I can't. Batman, he did something to me. I'm scared. I don't know. Please help me. Please." She looks at him. "I'm sorry. Time is of the essence. I need warriors." As Marquise fades into the shadows, Jason begs again. "Please. I'm so scared." But back in the city, Batman tries to get some distance between him and the others as he stops over at Crime Alley. He tells himself that this has all gone wrong. The whole plan, the promise he made to his parents, he's done so much. The things that he's built are out of control. They weren't supposed to allow crime like Selina wants. They're letting the Joe Chills of the world do what they want, and the worst part, the part that he can't seem to reason his way out of, can't fight against, is that he loves them. Batman falls back, holding his head. "How can I stop loving?" And then footsteps can be heard as Batman looks up at Catwoman. She tells him that they need to talk. Elsewhere, Vandal continues telling his story. He explains that the power of that meteor was scattered across the world. The power of immortality scattered across the world. Some people made them into simple rocks, unusual weapons, life-altering obstructions of power, jewels that decorated clueless people, stones that glistened and drew them together. Most knew they were special. They just didn't realize how special. However, one man did, Ra's al Ghul. When the Lazarus Pit couldn't help him anymore, Ra's said that he knew that it wouldn't work for Vandal Savage. And while he is certain that the fragments of the stone could renew his brilliance, his life, he has spent too long keeping them apart only to have them back together. Vandal shouted, asking why would he keep the stones separate, and Ra's said because power is a target that could create a world of immortals. He spent years figuring out a way to keep that from happening, to dissuade their natural inclination to be together. He is sorry, but his light must fade so the world doesn't end up forever. Then something happened. In his darkest moments, Vandal was alone, going insane, and there was a light from his daughter. Ra's al Ghul died in the Shadow War, and with him, the safeguards in place that he put to keep the fragments from being one. They're all drawn to the largest piece, which resides in Gotham. That is why Vandal Savage is here. That is why all of them are here. This is their fate. Marquise says her father has promised them something far greater than coins and jewels. They aren't just thieves. They aren't disciples of Catwoman. They're a league of shadows. And as Vandal steps before all of the thieves in Selina's guild, he tells them that they are a league who will steal immortality from Gotham. Selina leaps through the darkened rooftops of Gotham City until she finds Bruce crouching in the darkness. "We need to talk," she tells him. Bruce looks up at her with tears in his eyes. Selina is shocked, pulling him in close. Their embrace is short as he pulls away, putting back on his mask, becoming Batman once again. "Forgive me. You came here to speak?" he asks her, and Catwoman begins to shout, telling him that she doesn't understand what he did to Jason. "I'm worried that I need to protect him from you. Worried enough to come here and talk to you myself. Enough to try and come here and force a ceasefire with whatever we are," she says. But their argument is interrupted as an explosion rocks the city in a distance. The two of them stare in surprise before another explosion goes off even closer, throwing them both off of the rooftop. They manage to grab each other, and Batman shelters her as they plummet to the ground below. They hold each other close for a moment before Batman sits up. "We need to go. Someone's got to see about those fires," he tells her, but Selina shakes her head, asking what Bruce did to Jason. "I gave him his life back. I cured the rabid sickness within him that I've exploited for far too long," Batman tells her. But her phone buzzes and she turns away. When she turns back, Batman is gone. She goes back to her phone call. "Did you find Red Hood?" "He's accounted for," Marquise tells her before explaining that she needs Selina to return to the headquarters. Selina quickly arrives, shocked to find Marquise in the company of Vandal Savage. But Marquise explains that she is actually Scandal Savage, the daughter of Vandal Savage. Vandal steps forward, giving Selina his offer. There are several artifacts made from fallen meteors, and Savage would like to hire her to acquire them. In acquiring these weapons, they will also be granted immortality, including yourself, of course, Vandal Savage explains, but Selina refuses, telling Vandal Savage that she didn't train these new thieves to be hired out by other people. Savage reaches for his blade, informing Selina, "I was not asking." He dashes forward, slicing through her throat, sending her head spinning as she falls to the ground. Scandal whirls on her father. "You fool! You want Batman to come down on us?" she snaps, but Savage waves her off. "A loose end is a loose end. Get the body, we'll store it in the cave," he orders, but when they turn back to the body, they're shocked to see the head is still moving. "Oh, man! You're gonna let him talk to you like that?" Lady Clayface asks, and in shock, Savage kicks the head away, allowing Clayface to escape. "No, you idiot! Where's the rest of her? Now she's on her way back to Catwoman to tell her everything," Scandal snaps. A short time later, Vandal Savage arrives at the meeting of Gotham's rogues. demanding to know who set off the explosions in Gotham.
That was me, Mr. Savage,
Firefly says, raising his hand.
Some of my former hires signed up with the Cat and were operating out of that building. It was a show of force,
he explains, but Savage slams his fist on the table as he stalks amongst the powerful villains of Gotham. He explains that they should not waste their time on the former goons, that they need merely to take out Batman and Catwoman, and the goons will come crawling out of the chaos and back to their former employers. Vandal then promises to give them equipment and weapons, the ones that he acquired recently when he bought Wayne Manor and therefore bought the Batcave to help them in their battles. The villains all agree with a smile, and Savage leaves the room, ordering them to kill the Cat and the Bat. Elsewhere in the city, Jason Todd comes up from the sewers, his body choked by fear from what Batman did to him. He stumbles through the night until he comes to one of the burning buildings. Inside, he hears the screams of a frightened child. He leaps inside, grabbing a hold of the girl.
Hey, I got you. It's okay, kiddo. I'll just get us out of here somehow. It's okay to be scared. I'm scared too,
Jason tells her. Meanwhile, Selina has heard of Vandal's plan. She knows the Immortal is up to no good and then goes and steals one of the pieces that he wants, knowing that if she has it, he does not. But outside of the museum, she is confronted by Scandal Savage, and after a brief fight, Scandal explains that she just wants Selina to take the deal to work with her. I really don't want you dead. Take it. Immortality. Kyle. Scandal says that she kicks Selina away, but Selina shakes her head. You gotta get out of here, Scandal, or I can't promise you'll live long enough to enjoy your immortality, Selina says, so Scandal sighs, turning away. Nice knowing you, Catwoman. I guess I'll see you in hell. Unless this immortality thing works out, she says before disappearing. So a short while later, Selina arrives at Bruce's brownstone, the new location that he's living in. He lets her inside and she tells him that they need to come to terms to end this war, and that he needs to let her see Jason so that she can know that he's all right.
He isn't here, Selina, Bruce tells her.
She's shocked. You mean he's still out there with whatever you did to him? She demands as she grabs Bruce's arm, but he shakes his head.
No, I tracked him hours ago. He must have evaded me somehow,
Bruce says, and in a few moments, the two of them are suited up, heading back into the city to find where Jason went, following Bruce's tracker until they reach the burning building. And it's inside that they find Jason has become trapped under a burning beam. Batman pulls the beam off of Jason and the four of them head out into the night. Selina brings the young girl to the arriving firefighters, and Batman leads Jason away. After Selina joins them, she fills them in on Vandal's plan to gain immortality, to gather all of the pieces of the meteorite and do something.
The only way this ends is if we share everything that we know,
Batman tells them, and he looks at both Red Hood and Selina.
All three of us,
he continues. Nearby, the police and the EMTs are arguing with some local villains, who don't seem to believe that the police are doing a good enough job. But everyone suddenly looks up as a group approaches them from the shadows. The police look up in fear as some of Gotham's rogues approach them, now armed with the gear taken from the Batcave. Two of Catwoman's burglars crawl down from a heist and they get into their getaway car, talking about how if they ever see Red Hood again, they're going to kill him.
Hell yeah!
A voice calls out from the back seat, and they both turn in shock to see the Joker sitting in the back, enjoying a milkshake. Both criminals look at the clown in fear, but Joker just holds out a piece of paper.
I'm told you know where to find the Red Hood. He used to have only eyes for me, but I fear that he's been a little distracted as of late. Can you be a dear and give this to him? I worry what he's getting up to.
Elsewhere, Red Hood slams another goon's face into the table, breaking a chunk off as he demands to know where Scarecrow is. But the goon doesn't know.
Gotta do better than that, or I'm gonna start getting angry,
Jason growls, grabbing another goon, flipping him over, slamming him into the ground. More of the bar patrons rush him, and Jason easily fights them off, grabbing a hold of a beer bottle and preparing to smash it over someone's head. But a whip cracks out, smashing the bottle first. That's enough. You can kindly stop joking the gentleman now, Red Hood, Catwoman says from her place at the bar, and Jason tosses the guy away, turning to Selina.
Anyone ever told you that you really know how to ruin a party?
He asks her. She motions him outside, explaining that they need to talk. Outside, she quickly explains that one of the men that he has trained came to her and said that he had a message for Red Hood, and that he'll meet him in Gotham Park. So later, Jason waits there with Ravager, the two talking for a few moments before Jason finally sighs, admitting that the goon probably stood them up. But Ravager stands, beginning to poke around in the nearby bushes. Hey, what does this guy look like? Because I'm trying to figure out if he's the guy I just stepped on, she says. Jason comes over and looks at the goon's body that was hidden in the bushes. Yeah, that's Brink's. Ravager begins to go through Brink's pockets, and she finds a note for Jason and a wad of cash that she stuffs into her own pockets. Jason opens the note, his eyes widening in surprise. It's a list of locations the Joker wanted me to have, he says, handing it back to Ravager, asking her to take it to Manhunter, the superhero from LA, and try to find the Joker's location. Then he needs to continue his hunt for Scarecrow. Just give me about 48 hours to sort out the Scarecrow thing, and then I'll meet back up at our usual spot to track down Joker, Jason tells her as he prepares to leave. But 24 hours later, Jason has agreed to help Selina again, promising that he will help her fight against Batman as long as she helps him find Scarecrow. 48 hours later, Ravager is waiting for Jason at the Big Belly Burgers sign. 49 hours later, Jason is confronted by Batman. It's the battle in which Batman rips Jason off of a motorcycle. They fight it out, and Batman injected him. I can't watch you destroy yourself, Batman growled at him. It was 50 hours later that Batman was working on Jason, giving him something that will heighten his fear whenever adrenaline kicks in, something that will prevent him from being a hero. I'm sorry, Jason, but there's no other way, Batman told his former sidekick as the fear begins to pulse through him. It was at that 50-hour marker that Ravager decided she had no choice. She called Marquise, an associate of Selina's, asking where Jason is. Marquise agreed to look for him and hung up. But Ravager didn't realize is that Marquise was actually Scandal Savage, the daughter of Vandal Savage. Scandal turned to her father, informing him that Red Hood is missing. I believe the Batman has taken him, she explained, and Vandal nodded. Then you go take him back. The boy could be very useful, Vandal tells her. Meanwhile, Joker hides in his hideout with Grundy, mad that Red Hood hasn't arrived. Where is he? I told him all the potential places I might be. I practically drew him a map. Maybe I should have drawn him a map, Joker hisses, but Grundy informs Joker that he heard that Batman had captured Red Hood. So Joker grabs his hat and heads out the door. Batman can't have him! He's the key to my plan! I need him! I will save Red Hood! Joker bellows as he heads out the door. Days later, Red Hood has escaped. He moves through the sewers, his body still racked with fear. He manages to pull himself up to the street where he discovers a burning building from a bomb that Firefly set off in Gotham as a part of a larger plot. He then falls to his knees as he watches the flames. He's too afraid to move. The sight of the fire pumped his adrenaline, and Batman's plan is working. That's when Jason hears a young girl crying inside. He decides to push past the fear, to rush inside, unaware that Scarecrow is watching from a distance. As the building begins to burn around them, Jason finds the girl, grabbing a hold of her. It's okay, kiddo. I'm gonna get us out of here somehow. It's okay to be scared. I'm scared too, he says as he clutches her close, trying to find an exit. But as he stops short, it's Scarecrow who steps through the burning door. Don't you dare use that word, Red Hood. You haven't earned it, but you will. Let's begin, Crane says as he stalks forward, reaching down, taking a hold of Jason's face, preparing to inject him with even more fear toxin. Your terror, it's real. And it isn't mine. There's no thrill in driving terror into the heart of a baby bird. No joy in making a little flower wilt in the face of its own worst fear. This is my moment of triumph, and it was snatched away from me by him? Scarecrow is angry, stepping away from Jason. Never say that the Scarecrow has no pity. I will quickly finish what your daddy started. But a voice calls out as Joker comes through the flaming door. Step away from the vigilante! The clown calls. Joker drawing his knife, rushing forward, locking into a battle with the Scarecrow. Scarecrow grabs him by the throat and begins to inject fear toxins into the Joker's veins, but the clown just smiles.
Oh, silly man. We've known each other long enough that you should know by now. Nothing scares me.
He reaches out, pulling the mask from Crane's face, hitting him with a blast of Joker toxin. Crane begins to cough, rushing away, leaping for the nearby window. Joker turns back to Jason, who's lying on the floor, the crying girl nearby.
Is this real?
Jason is gasping for breath, unable to cope with what is going on. And the Joker giggles. And he holds the wounds on his neck.
Now it's just you and me and your daughter? Did you have a daughter?
Joker asks, leaning in.
Don't worry, my sweet boy. I'm gonna find a way to fix you. Nobody's going to hurt you. I won't let them. I need you.
But that's when the ceiling cracks above them and a beam falls down. Weakened by the fire, it slams into Jason, pinning him. And Joker stares in shock for a moment.
Well, I didn't see that coming. You really are quite unlucky, aren't you?
He tells him. He tries to move and help Jason, but stops as he hears Batman and Catwoman's voices coming from inside the building.
I think that's my cue, but have no fear. Overbearing help is on the way,
Joker says as he slips out the window, promising Red Hood that they'll see each other again. Scandal Savage reaches for her phone, ordering the thieves they've hired to strike quickly and acquire the ancient artifacts that Vandal Savage requires. Gain the fragments and you'll live forever, and if you fail, don't bother coming to the Nexus Point. She hangs up the phone and joins her father in the limo.
You'll soon taste forever, daughter. I will be reinvigorated, and then Gotham will be ruled by the immortals,
Vandal says to his daughter as they pull away. Meanwhile, Tim Drake is leaping across the rooftops of the city, alerted to an attack in Gotham. He leaps down into the streets where he's surprised to find the civilians trapped by the weapons taken out of the Batcave. Tim looks up to see Batman's rogues stalking towards him. But before he can react, he's grabbed by Black Mask, Firefly, and Professor Pig. Tim tries to warn the rest of the family, but he is stopped by Two-Face.
Go ahead. Scream. Scream for your friends. Scream for your life.
Elsewhere, Batman, Catwoman, and Red Hood find themselves in the Brownstone, with the group quickly figuring out that Vandal Savage is after the weapons created from the meteor that gave him immortality. These fragments can make people immortal? Selina asks, and Bruce nods.
I believe so.
And possibly enhance them. He begins to explain that if the thief army becomes immortal, they'll end up ruling the city of Gotham. Bruce then tells them that he has the largest piece, believing that it may have been the source of the Lazarus Pit. But the discussion is interrupted when Selina sees the reports of the rogues' attack on the city, armed with weapons from the Batcave.
This can't be a coincidence. It's a distraction.
Batman growls, and Selina turns to leave, promising to try and herd her thieves. Batman then turns to Jason, who has started to be able to overcome and control his fear. What are we waiting for? Jason asks, still sketchy, still angry at Bruce for what he did to him. Bruce finally puts back on his comms, tying him to the rest of the Bat family.
I'm here. One of our own is in danger. The city is in danger, and I'm tired of fighting each other when there's too much to be done. So many people to save. We're family. We disagree. I can make peace with that. I don't expect you to trust me, but I trust you. Go save Tim. I'll stop Vandal Savage, Bruce tells the family.
Dick comes over the comms, confused by what is happening, and Bruce quickly fills him in on the situation.
Now let's get to work,
Batman says as he pulls on his mask, heading for the exit. He pauses for a moment to look back at Jason, who hasn't left his chair, fear gripping him again.
I'm sorry, Jason. One day I hope you'll understand,
Batman says as he turns away to leave. He heads over to the cave, hoping to track Vandal Savage's movements. He was able to track Vandal moving the weapons and meteor fragments to the front of the manor, where Barbara was able to track the large van the Savage's people are loading everything into. White Van headed to Gotham Observatory 4 nights ago, she tells him, so Batman moves quickly with Barbara asking if he needs backup.
No, Savage is mine.
Meanwhile, back in the city, the rogues are causing havoc, preparing to kill Tim Drake, but the rest of the family arrives. Saving civilians is the priority. Let's subdue these monsters, Nightwing says as he brings his motorcycle to a screeching halt, slamming into Black Mask. But the doors of the GCPD van burst open to reveal Scarecrow, who has infected the officers. Nightwing moves quickly, ordering the rest of the team to subdue the officers before they can hurt anyone. I've got this, Nightwing says as he draws his escrima sticks, rushing at the rogues. Elsewhere in the city, Selina has followed one of her former thieves, tailing him with his stolen bit of the meteor. She leaps onto his car soundlessly and holds on as he drives into the night. In a short amount of time, they all arrive at the observatory, where she sneaks in through the shadows until she finds Batman watching from the rooftops. "Hey," she says with a smile, Batman giving her a glance. "You're late," he whispers. They continue to look inside, where they see the thieves have gathered a large chunk of the meteor. But Batman can't figure out why the savages are using the observatory telescope until he finally realizes the truth. "My God, the fragments aren't a source of power, they're a homing beacon for a larger meteor. It's too large, it's coming in fast. It'll turn Gotham into a crater." Catwoman looks at him, telling him that they have to save the day together. The Bat and the Cat. Moments later, the two have leaped down into the observatory, ordering Vandal to stop what he is doing, that he's going to destroy the city and everyone inside of it. "Lies! I survived the same eons ago. Batman, enough talk. Kill them, my army, and live forever," Batman orders his group and his daughter. Back in the city, Nightwing is holding his own against the villains, but a venom-powered Professor Pig hits him hard, knocking him away. Back on the GCPD roof, Two-Face prepares to kill Tim Drake, but is hit from the side by an invisible Duke Thomas, knocking the villain out. He moves to free Tim. Tim thanks him and leaps into the fray. He orders the group to use the freeze and heat guns to stop Scarecrow's fear gas from becoming airborne. He then leaps down, grabbing a hold of Professor Pig, using his knowledge to unlatch the venom tubes and leave the villain struggling on the ground. He then whirls around to where the others are pinned down by fireflies, telling them that the freeze gun he's using has a delay between shots. Realizing this, Batgirl and Robin leap in, hitting him with batarangs. In moments, with the help of Tim Drake, who's finally freed, the entire group of rogues is defeated. "Oh man, how'd you do that?" Nightwing asks as he joins his brother. Tim smiles, explaining that Batman told him to study. Tim took that seriously. "It's the only way to become the second best Robin," he tells Dick. But back over at the observatory, Batman and Selina are fighting through the goons. That's when Vandal Savage charges forward, grabbing Batman by the throat.
"You would deny me the power that is rightfully mine,"
Vandal snarls. But Selina is there, kicking Scandal aside, snapping her whip around Vandal's neck, pulling him away from Batman. Stumbling away, Batman gets to the comms, warning the rest of the family that there is a meteor approaching Gotham City, and he orders Barbara to try and get a hold of Superman. "Justice Leaguers aren't responding. I'm putting the word out, but I don't know what else to do," Barbara says. Back at the brownstone, Jason is struggling to his feet, turning his fear-filled gaze until it falls on the Batwing. At the observatory, Batman is trading blows with Savage when Barbara warns him that the Batwing has taken off and it is barreling towards the meteor. "That's impossible! I haven't finished the auto!" "Jason!" He realizes with realization that Jason Todd is aiming the Batwing towards the meteor as his voice comes over the comms. Don't sound so surprised," he stammers, fighting through the drugs that Batman has pumped through his body racked with fear. I need to concentrate, so I'm gonna go. You can sit with the fact that you were wrong about me," he tells Batman before he cuts off the comms. Over the city, the family watches as the Batwing slams into the meteor, blowing it into smaller pieces. The pieces begin to rain towards the observatory, as Batman leaps to grab a hold of Selina and rush them both to safety. As the smoke begins to clear, the two begin to pull themselves from the crater. But below they watch as Vandal and Scandal are sliding towards the large chunk of meteor that is glowing at the bottom. "Give it to me, old man, like you promised!" Scandal is snapping at her father, but Vandal pushes her away.
"Stop! We don't know how much power it contains, so I should go first,"
he tells his daughter. She begins to argue with him, but he pulls her close, and he stabs her in the stomach.
"I haven't stayed alive this long, Scandal, by playing fair."
He pushes her away, and he turns back to the meteor, putting his hand on the glowing rock, energy beginning to spark as his eyes widen in surprise.
"Wait, the power, it's different,"
he gasps as the meteor begins to shake and the ground rumbles beneath everyone's feet. Up above, Jason is watching as he slowly parachutes to the ground, and Scandal can't escape the crater as blood begins to pour out of her wound. Selina refuses to let her former friend die. She may be Scandal Savage now, but she was Marquise. She was the one that helped build all of this.
Selina leaps down to save her friend, but Batman joins in pulling Scandal to safety. The ground begins to rumble again, and Selina slips. She loses her footing, dropping into the green liquid that has begun to form at the bottom of the crater. Selina! Batman yells out, still holding the wounded Scandal. Another blast of energy throwing Batman and Scandal up and away, with Selina disappearing into the green glow below. Batman stares into the destruction of the crater. Selina, I'm so sorry, he whispers, but a hand suddenly is on his shoulder. He turns to find Jason alive and well standing over him. It's 2 weeks later that Batman stands on a hill, overlooking the government camp that is studying the meteor. Dick joins him, asking if there's any signs of Selina Kyle, but Bruce shakes his head, explaining that Waller isn't interested in looking for survivors. She's gone, Dick, Bruce says as they return to the car. Dick looks to the man who helped raise him, telling him that everything that happened, especially with Jason, was going too far. Bruce finally agrees. He tries to explain that it's not Zur-En-Arr infecting his mind, that he has contained Zur-En-Arr again. But he does agree that he isn't the person who should be leading the family. And that's when we see in the back of his mind somebody affecting that decision, somebody telling him what to say. Zur-En-Arr is in fact there. Bruce continues. This life is just mounting tragedies. I'm okay with me not having happiness, but it kills me in the soul that none of you have it either. Bruce tells Dick, but Dick disagrees, explaining that everyone in the family does this because they want to, not because Bruce forced them. And you're wrong. I'm happy. Barbara and I are happy, Dick tells him. Bruce nods and agrees, explaining that that's why Dick should be the one leading the Bat family. He gets up into his car and he starts it up again. Take care of them, Dick. Give them every opportunity to leave this life before it's too late. That night, Batman slips into an abandoned apartment where he finds a Riddler puzzle that comes to life, revealing Nigma's face. What do you want, Riddler? Nigma smiles. I wanted to thank you for undoing that dreadful League of Thieves. Several ex-employees have already come crawling back to me. I also wanted to present you with another mutual goal. The Joker. He's causing all kinds of grief, so I have a riddle for you, Batman. But Batman stops him and picks up the device, shutting it off. I already know that there are 3 Jokers, Nigma. He puts the device away and walks back outside, heading off into his city, where he thinks, possibly, he catches a glimpse of Catwoman in the shadows. Elsewhere, not all of Selina's thieves have returned to the life of a goon. One is still stealing from the rich, using the training that Selina gave him. And he slips into Bruce Wayne's brownstone, eager to see what he can take. But what he finds is something that surprises him. Holy shit, Batman is Bruce Wayne? The thief gasps as his flashlight falls on the equipment in the basement. And there you have it, Gotham War full story. Now, this story was divisive. A lot of characters were acting out of character, Batman in particular, but a lot of people who read this also weren't reading what was going on with Batman at the time, and he's acting out of character because of Zur-En-Arr. The problem is, Zur-En-Arr wasn't very prominent in this storyline in comparison to the other ones where Zur-En-Arr was messing with Batman. So, take it for what you want. I overall enjoyed it, but it definitely has its problems. But let me know in the comments down below what you disliked about it. I'll see you guys next time.